Bill, you ready? Okay, you ready? This is for more cookie. More cookie. Ready? Stand up.
You do it.
Now, Kate, you want cookie? Yes, stand up. Yay! Good job.
Kate was born normally. She was a beautiful baby, just like we were expecting, and she acquired all of her early milestones. She was holding a book in a car and reading it. She was talking, she had words. And then one day we were driving down the street and I said to Jeff, Jeff, did you notice that Kate's holding her book upside down now? From then on, there were just little things that started to develop. Like she stopped making any vocalizations.
She started to drop some of her toys. She had a cell phone that lit up and she could hold it in her hands in the back seat of the car and push the buttons, and suddenly it kept falling out of her hands onto the floor of the car. She couldn't hold it.
Everyone was telling us that everything was fine, but I just knew it wasn't. And that's when the cascade of terribleness really started. She wasn't sleeping. She would be awake for days at a time. She was having more and more difficulties holding things, and she couldn't feed herself anymore. I went to medical school and I didn't know about Rett syndrome until my daughter was diagnosed with it.
Put your hand on it. Be looking at her. Is that a gesture? That's nice. Look. Yay!
Rett syndrome is a brain disorder. It's the most physically disabling of the autism spectrum disorders. One of the core components of Rett syndrome is called apraxia, which means that Kate's brain is not able to tell her body what to do.
It's difficult for her to walk. It's hard for her to eat. And she's not in control of when she can take her next breath. One of the hardest things about living with Rett syndrome is seeing that Kate wants to do things that her body won't let her do. I know that she wants to play with children that are her own age, and they come over to her and they're very friendly with her, but eventually when she can't talk to them back, they're confused and they eventually leave. Rett syndrome is caused by a mutation, but it's not a mutation that's passed down in families. It's a mutation that occurs at random, and it can happen to anybody.
We're so focused on the research for Rett syndrome because this is a disease that can be cured.
We are way ahead of many other neurodevelopmental disorders in that we know exactly what protein is messed up in this particular disorder.
The Rett syndrome gene is on the X chromosome. And in females, there are 2 X chromosomes, whereas in males, there are 1 X chromosome.
And all females silence 1 X chromosome. So girls with Rett syndrome in every cell have a mutated copy of this gene that's on 1 X chromosome, but they have a healthy counterpart on the other X chromosome. If we could figure out a way to turn that gene back on, in theory, we cure the disease.
Unlike Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, which are Huntington's disease, which are neurodegenerative disorders, and the neurons actually die. In Rett syndrome, they don't die. So this gave rise to the obvious experiment. If you put back MECP2 late in the day, what happens?
So in 2007, Adrian Bird at the University of Edinburgh, he was able to develop an animal model of Rett syndrome that basically had this genetic on-off switch inserted in its DNA, so that if you kept the switch in the off position, so that the MECP2 gene was turned off and it wasn't making its protein, the animal would develop all of the symptoms that we see in the children. But then at will, the switch could be flipped and the MECP2 gene is turned on, it starts to make its protein, and as the protein levels normalize over a 4-week period, remarkably, the symptoms go away.
Here are animals that look far gone and hopelessly beyond the pale, and by just simply putting back the missing bit, they're fixed. I think there are grounds to be optimistic. How long it'll take is another matter.
Unless the project is absolutely ready for prime time and guaranteed for success, many funding agencies will not fund it. So something so risky is demanding of philanthropy and public support and community support.
You know, the sort of thing that is bold and risky, but if it works, it will make a gigantic difference.
Kate loves physical play. Kate loves to bounce on an exercise ball. Kate loves to go swimming. When she's in the water, that lightness that she has with her body that she doesn't have anywhere else. We know Kate's having a good time when she's got a smile that just can't be believed.
She just is so radiant, is the only word I can think of. And she squeals and she laughs and she moves her body.
We call it the sunbeam.
She jumps up and down.
How's everything going in there? We have sunbeams here. That's nice. For me, Kate has taught me persistence. I mean, Kate has all of these obstacles thrown in her way every moment of the day, and she fights through them, and she works harder than anyone we've ever seen, and she keeps going. And just like it's the responsibility of a typical parent to do all the things that typical parents do, we have to work hard and reverse this disorder, because it's been shown it can be done. For us to do anything less is not even a thought for us.
I would love to see her be able to play, and I'd love to know what's on her mind and what she's thinking about and what her memories are and what she wants for her birthday and what she wants for dinner. I want to know all those things about her, and I want to be able to see her run and dance and be free.
The touch of your hand says you'll catch me if ever I fall. You say it best when you say